Use dedicated beds to grow your vegetables and you can really boost your productivity because beds make it so much easier to plan, weed and harvest. We'll start with looking at the very best way to lay your beds out and then reveal our bed planning system, which makes it easy to choose what to grow where to achieve maximum productivity. Hi, I'm Ben Van Heems, and on this channel we share the best tips for growing an easy and productive vegetable garden. Now let's crack on with it, shall we?
Growing vegetables in allocated beds has many advantages. Narrow beds ensure growing areas can be tended from surrounding paths, eliminating the need to step on beds and avoiding soil compaction. This promotes a healthier root zone for your plants, which in turn boosts productivity. Soil amendments such as compost can be applied exactly where they are needed, on the beds rather than over the entire plot. As well as creating a pleasing order to your vegetable garden, a bed system will make protection of different crop families easier. For example, if you plant all your cabbage family crops together, it's easy to net them to prevent butterflies laying their eggs on the leaves. Beds make the plot easier to plan and will break your plot down into more manageable chunks. Beds can be laid out at soil level or raised. Soil level beds are very straightforward to mark out. Define the edges with string tied between pegs, then prepare the ground within. The soil level in beds will rise over time through the addition of organic matter and the compaction of surrounding paths. Edging beds offers a more permanent solution as it clearly defines the beds, physically separating the growing area from the paths. Raising beds so the growing surface is above ground level will help to improve drainage and encourage the soil to warm up earlier in the spring. If kids play in your garden, it makes the paths obvious and helps keep balls away from seedlings. However, you will need to consider the initial cost and effort involved in constructing these beds. It should be possible to reach the centre of each bed without overstretching. Aim for a bed width of 3 to 4 feet or 90 to 120 centimetres dependent on your reach. Having beds of equal width will allow you to customise row covers and cloches so that they can be moved from bed to bed as needed, and a narrow bed can also be used to grow plants such as sweet corn in blocks rather than rows, keeping weeds down and maximising the number of plants you can grow in that space. The length of your beds should take into account how far you are willing to walk to get around to the other side. For most people, a maximum length of 10 feet or 3 metres is about right. You can arrange beds in formal, parallel rows to help with your planning. Alternatively, lay out beds in patterns or different shapes to create a more relaxed, potager style effect. Site beds in the sunniest part of the garden, away from frost pockets. Be aware of which direction the midday sun is in and consider how tall plants might shade others. You can use our garden planner to help you plan the layout of your beds. Mark them out using the rectangle tool, or change to garden objects to select a particular style of raised bed. Beds can be resized, copied and moved as required until you've perfected your plan. Adding a compass to your plan will help you to lay out the beds to maximise sunlight. Beds are separated by the access paths. These should be a minimum of 2 feet or 60 centimetres wide to allow for comfortable access for weeding and harvesting. Leave paths to grass if they can easily be mowed. Alternatively, for a low maintenance solution, spread a mulch of wood chips over cardboard or pour loose material such as gravel over weed suppressing membrane. Or choose a permanent path surface such as bricks or pavers. The garden planner includes a number of path types which can be selected and dropped into place to give your plan a more realistic finish. Irregular shapes can be created by selecting a texture and then adding filled shapes.
Now our beds are laid out, let's go through our bed planning system to get the very best layout for our plants.
Careful positioning of what you grow will optimise your results. The garden planner will help you to plan the position of your various fruits and vegetables. Start by choosing a crop from the plant selection bar, click once to pick it up, Move the cursor to where you want it, then click to place or click and drag to create a row. Use the corner handles to extend the row or expand it out into a block. As you expand the size, the software automatically calculates how many plants can be grown within that area, helping you to avoid overcrowding your plants and achieve the highest yields. Tender plants such as tomatoes and peppers generally require the warmest, sunniest part of the plot, so position these first. Next, consider sprawling plants such as squash. Position these to the edge of beds so they don't smother their neighbours. Tall growing climbers such as beans and peas will need to be located where they won't shade lower growing vegetables. Usually we'll site them furthest away from the sun so they can't cast a shadow. However, if you have long hot summers, you may actually want to take advantage of potential shade to grow cool season crops such as lettuce and spinach. Plants that are regularly harvested and which don't need to be included in a crop rotation, for example herbs and salad leaves, should be positioned in beds closest to the kitchen. Consider pollination requirements. Corn, for example, needs to be grown in blocks rather than rows, as these plants are wind pollinated. Incorporating plenty of companion plants, such as calendula, can help boost pollination of fruit or pod-bearing crops such as beans, as well as attracting beneficial insects to your garden. Thirsty plants such as salad leaves need regular watering. Group these plants together in a damper part of the garden or where irrigation can easily be supplied. Some of these requirements may conflict, but if you're using the garden planner, it's really easy to move and resize plants until you get the perfect layout.
A well laid out bed system makes growing easier and better organised. Crucially, it also means bigger harvests. Now, if all this has whetted your appetite for more garden grown goodness, you're going to love our playlist on how to grow even more in the space you have. Sounds too good to be true? Well, why not check out the tips in the videos and see for yourself.